what would you say is like the main reason everybody has such a negative reaction when they see Star Citizen?
Honestly, man, at this stage, I think it is the exorbitant price of things, one, and two, things like you all you hear is this is delayed, that is delayed, that is delayed, right? Especially with a community funded game, it's just never a good look. And it is dictated by what, articles are written and what videos you see from people that aren't actively invested in the community because they're
Right.
just doing it to cover the news. But I would say those are the two things, especially because on the money side of it and the things that are available to purchase. As I mentioned to you, you don't see that in any other game because if you did, they would get roasted for it. You don't see a pack to buy all the mounts in Elder Scrolls Online for X amount because they people would just revolt against the company. And as we've touched on today, it's because, in part at least, yeah, one is actually funded by a company called Microsoft, that little old company, and there's another one that's community funded. So it is kind of different, but honestly, that's what it is. It's such a shock. It's such a shock when I told my wife about it, and she was like, "Why is that even an option? Like, you have to get over that hurdle." And some people just can't because they don't see it in any other of the games that they're playing.
So it's mostly because we don't see it in other games, right? Because
That's it, 100%.
we all know that like there are tons and tons of hobbies where people will just spend that kind of money on anything, right? People
For
will
sure.
buy metal coins for that amount, and people don't really bat an eye.
No, no. Like, I mean, like, I think there is a line, even with some hobbies and like how much it is, but gaming traditionally has been you buy a game for $60 or whatever it is in your region. And that's why when microtransactions and DLC started to become a thing, people were like, I don't know what to do with this because I've spent this amount of money. Why am I spending more? Gaming has always been a very low cost hobby.
Hmm.
Compare it even to the price of going to watching a movie. You spend, I don't know how much it is where you are, but in Australia you might spend 20 AUD to go watch a
Yeah.
movie. Value for money for like the time that you're spending versus the dollar amount. Gaming craps on it. Gaming is so cheap for how many hours of entertainment that you get per dollar. And when that
Yeah.
is challenged in any kind of way, it started with horse armor and Skyrim. People are like,
What
"What
was that,
the hell
2008,
is this?" That
2009?
was yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know what I mean. So when you start to see like very very high cost prices of things in Star Citizen, it's a shock to the system. If this was, I don't know, I really like you know cars. Spending 48 grand on doing up a car might not seem like a crazy thing because that's kind of been the price roughly that things have been done, but not with gaming. Gaming has always been low cost.
But that's a problem with the industry, right? Everybody assumes games are cheap to make. That's why we see companies like Bethesda, CD Projekt
Yeah.
Red, Bungie, all these companies get ridiculous standards set, and then they get raked across the coals for putting out an incomplete game. But everybody
Mhm.
expects them to do it for cheap, to do it with the games not being too expensive, to do it
Yep.
in a certain amount of time. And then when
Yep.
you come across a game that's like, okay, well, we're going to sell assets to pay our developers,
Mhm.
people are suddenly like, wait, why are you charging so much money for these things? Do you think if there were no ships attached, if it was just click this button to give us $3,000, people would care?
That's a good question. Probably not because how many like even like YouTubers and whatever have an option to donate to a channel and you can
Yeah.
spend that amount of money. You know what I mean? Like it you're right. It is if there was just an option where you could donate that amount, people wouldn't bat an eye because the option to buy, yeah, it's just it's I think it's a little bit different. I can't explain
It's
why.
yeah, it's tied to the idea that you're getting a ship
For sure, for
is
sure.
what yeah. And I think a lot of people think you can't get those ships in the game.
Mm.
You can't like every each of those ships you can earn in the game. Probably within a week of gameplay. So
Every one of them.
yeah, there are two ships you can't get, and they were both
Yeah,
sold in partnership with AMD and Intel, so obviously those companies won't let them sell them. Every other
fair.
ship, you can earn it in the game if it's been out for more than, I think, 2 quarters.
So,
So,
and that's the nuance of information that you just don't get. I didn't
yeah,
know that,
yeah.
and
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 that's the
and I saw the
thing.
article the other week.
That and like you said that most of this stuff comes from the fact that people are hearing only negative stuff, but you don't really get articles that talk about those positive things. Like
No.
they doubled the server sizes 2 summers ago. People still think we're playing with like 25 players in these servers, and
Yeah.
they're at over 100.
Yeah, I do think that unfortunately it goes back to what we were saying before, that negativity sells. It's a real issue that I've had with just discourse and video gaming for a while now.
Yeah.
And again, as a YouTuber, I'm not sitting here from a high horse. I've engaged in a bit of it because it works. And I really wish there was another way around it. I really wish that I could title my videos video game news for the 9th of January. And that's all I had to put into it, and it got views. But that's it. And
That'd
I
be
didn't have to put
awesome.
any work into a thumbnail. But that's not the way it is. There is a reality here
Yeah.
where, yeah, when they do a negative hit piece, it's going to get more clicks than one that's happy-go-lucky, and it sucks. And I can't. I don't know what the answer is. I honestly I don't know.